We were all shocked, of course, when that sniper opened fire on the Republican baseball team in Washington. Just absolutely horrible and awful. And a lot of people have very correctly bemoaned the growth of partisanship in Washington and the bitterness which, in the hands of unstable minds, can lead to an episode like that. Now, the immediate answer is you've got to expand your protection for these guys. You can't just say we're going to protect the leaders of Congress. You've got to protect 535 members of Congress because you can see how exposed and vulnerable they are. But for today's history video, I thought I'd discuss why I feel Washington has become so partisan. There are two things that I blame for it. One is the way campaigns are funded, and the other is gerrymandering of legislative districts. Start with the way it's funded. In the past, long distant past, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, campaigns were largely funded by individual donations from people who lived in the state who wanted to support the candidate running for office, who agreed with them or was from their party. Then the laws changed and permitted PACs, political action committees, to fund campaigns, which were most of the time industries and or other committees banded together in that state to support the candidate. Then increasingly national PACs were set up that would fund like-minded candidates in all of the states, not just the states in which the PAC functioned. And then the national party committees set up Senate committee, House committee, Republican and Democratic National Committee. And those three committees raised gobs of money. And increasingly, the funding was concentrated in central sources in Washington. Even individual campaign contributors got eclipsed because things like the Eagle Club or the Democratic equivalent went to people and said, hey, you're allowed to contribute $100,000, let's say. Send me a check for that, and I'll pass it out to the races that really need it. And when push came to shove, when you look at campaign financing, a vast proportion of the money is from national sources. Just look at that Georgia election this week, where it was the most expensive House race in history, something like $20 million. Almost none of it from in the district, most of it from outside. And that trend toward nationalizing the money stream has essentially meant that we are very close to a parliamentary system, where you vote for the party, and then the party names the member who's in Congress in that district. And it's the party above all that matters, and the party above all that funds. So when a member of Congress steps out of line and votes against what his leader wants, or tries to be independent and fashion a third way, he can pay for it with his life by the party committee refusing to fund him, telling the PACs not to fund him, and sending message to the big donors who pool their money to leave him out in the cold. And therefore they acquire life and death power over senators and congressmen that they exercise to maintain strict party discipline. It used to be that about 60 to 70% of the time, an individual member of Congress or the Senate voted the way his party leadership did. Now it's 98 or 99% of the time. Huge difference. The second thing is gerrymandering, where the lines are being drawn increasingly by deals between the Democrats and the Republicans to create safe Democratic and safe Republican seats, where both parties agree. Let's say we have 7 congressmen. We'll take these 3 and you guys take these 3, and we'll fight it out for the 7th seat. And as a result, the number of seats that are genuinely swing seats in the House has declined from a little over 120 in the 1990s to under 50 today. The result of that is that nobody has to fear the general election, but they all have to be worried about primaries, because they've stacked a Democratic district with Democrats, stacked a Republican district with Republicans, and the threat that could dislodge these guys is not being beaten by the other party. That would militate them to move to the center. But instead to be beaten by a primary by the extremes of their own party, the Tea Party on the right and the MoveOn.org militants on the left. So that really is the threat they face. And as a result, you find the right Republicans moving to the right, Democrats to the left, and nobody being able to compromise. Now, the Supreme Court has just accepted certiorari on a case that would ban gerrymandering based on party. And if they rule in favor of that, it really could save our democracy. Thanks for watching.